Several vehicles plying on the roads despite lockdown. IT employees are being ferried without social distancing norms. As cops are struggling to keep a check on vehicles, cops are seizing vehicles without any valid passes. So that's the big news coming in at this point of time, as several vehicles are plying on the road without any proper passes. And despite the lockdown orders in place, also IT employees are being ferried without maintaining any social distancing norms, as cops are clearly struggling to keep a check on the vehicles, and cops are seizing vehicles without any valid passes. Clearly, with partial lockdown coming into place and several relaxations also being offered by the government, it clearly looks like the pressure has actually mounted on the traffic police at this point of time, as vehicles which were nowhere to be seen a few weeks back or possibly last week only are now not just plying on roads, but also the people are not maintaining social distancing at all. They are flouting all the norms at present. I have my colleague Prajwal Prasad right there in Yashwantpur. Well, Prajwal, several vehicles are plying on the road despite lockdown orders, but clearly some of them are also flouting the orders. What more do you have for us?
Absolutely, because Yashwantpur has always been considered as a busy junction, and right now you can clearly go ahead and see the fact that there is already a lot of security which is in place too, because the number of vehicles plying on the roads has just increased over the past few hours, Abhijit, because at 8 o'clock if we had around 20 to 30 vehicles plying for every 5 minutes, now we are having over hundreds of vehicles which are plying on the streets as well, and therefore the security too has been increased at this checkpost, and additional barricades too are being put over here as well. And you can also see that all sorts of documents are being looked into by the traffic cops as well, and they have been also asking as to what is the sort of valid documents that they have. But some of them also come up with the BPL cards, the APL cards as well, and they are stating that they're going ahead to collect the ration as well, and therefore it is being made as a priority to let all the senior citizens go to if they just have any sort of valid documents. And apart from that, we are also seeing the nursing staff and also several two-wheelers which are going ahead and plying on the roads. And apart from that, we are also seeing the traffic cops who are clearly going ahead and writing all the details in particular as to which are the vehicles which are passing by as well too, because that is definitely quite important. And apart from that, those two-wheelers who are traveling without any sort of helmets, and FDR will be booked against them. And you can clearly go ahead and see over here that the KSP clear pass is being shown around, and them being bank employees too are being shown around, stating that these are our identity cards as well. But as time goes by, as you were clearly pointing out to the fact, Abhijit, that the jobs of the traffic cops is becoming quite hectic too, and this is something which can definitely not be ignored at all. And if you look at it now, the majority of the vehicles will also they will not be able to check the majority of the vehicles too, because that too is something which is very important. And now through this entire line over here, we are seeing more and more number of vehicles coming in, and only one cop going ahead and checking it will definitely go ahead and cause a lot of traffic pile up as well. So this is something which needs to be noted down by the cops as well too. And you can look at it that these are the office hours, especially for these IT employees as well. And you can see the number of vehicles which are plying on the roads, and hundreds and hundreds of vehicles are plying through this busy junction. And therefore, those vehicles which are even traveling without valid passes, even they are being seized by the cops. But they're also complaining that this is rather becoming very hectic for them to go ahead and manage the traffic too, because you can just see that a few minutes ago there was no traffic at all, but now you can see the long line of vehicles which are plying too, and it looks like any other regular day. And there seems to be no sort of social distancing even while checking as well, because you see that the vehicles are quite nearby, and especially those two-wheelers too are in close proximity as well. So this is something which the cops will have to be aware of, and they will also need to maintain social distancing too. And even if you look at some of these cars as well, you can see that around 5 to 6 people are present in each of these cars as well. But according to the MHA guidelines which has been given in, it states that only 2 or 3 people maximum should be left in a car, and one of them should be seated in the front and one should be seated in the back, which is diagonally opposite to each other. But going ahead and looking at it as the day progresses, definitely it will become very difficult for our cops to go ahead and manage the traffic situation in the city, and also to be checking each passes manually, physically, is definitely quite demanding on them as well. And with working for 9 hours or 12 hours, things will only go ahead and get difficult for them as the days will progress over here. And once the relaxation is complete, once the relaxation or once the lockdown is completely eased over here, there would be absolutely no problem. But then, as the lockdown has been partially eased, there is still confusion among the people as to what is there, what is not, and what are the sort of ID cards that will have to be shown by them, and also where they will have to go ahead and procure these special passes or cards here, Abhijit.
Well, Prajwal, do you think there is a lack of clarity, especially with the commuters which are out there on the roads? Because yes, partial lockdown is in place. Some relaxations have been given, but are they taking it for granted? That is my first question. My second question, as you said that cops are seizing vehicles and over 46,000 vehicles have been seized only in Bengaluru. So have there been any cases over there of seizing the vehicles? Prajwal?
Coming to Yashwantpur, you have over 700 to 800 two-wheelers which were seized, and over hundreds of cars too which had been seized over here. And apart from that, while they even seized these vehicles and put them in the impound yards, now the impound yards are also full, because you're speaking about 42,000 vehicles only in Bengaluru. So you can imagine the vehicles from rest of Karnataka which have already been seized and put in the impound yard as well. And many cases are being registered too, and this has become quite the norm of the day for the cops as well. And if you go across and look at it, when it comes to the rules, yes, the government of Karnataka has been very clear while it comes to the rules, but many of them are taking these for granted, and many of them are also trying to misuse the permissions that has been given to them. So this is somewhere turning out to be quite difficult for the cops to go ahead and maintain over here. Point one being that that there is still a lot of confusions as to what the green zones, red zones, yellow zones and orange zones are. But finally, after the government of Karnataka put this up, they finally realized as to what is the importance of it. But even if you take it within the entire Bengaluru city, on the map of Karnataka that has been marked by the government itself, you can clearly see that the entire city of Bengaluru is in a hot zone. But then the BBMP releases a war room bulletin and states that these are some of the wards which are containment zones, these are some of them which are in hotspots, and some of them are in yellow as well as orange and green too. So there is a lack of clarity as to what exactly is happening over here, and this definitely should be avoided at all points of time as well, Abhijit.